Oh wait. Y'all thought Barbie was the first doll Ken dated. It's me, Brian, here with Brad.
Hello there.
And Milan.
Did you say Thart?
Thought. What's Thart?
That's what I was wondering.
And I guess that's we're here for Lars and the Real Girl. Even before we get into anything, just gonna front load this up. Don't tackle somebody. Don't tackle somebody, especially if they seem awkward, like feeling awkward. That's not a solution.
Or if you're pregnant, don't tackle somebody.
Yeah, like, I'm sure we could go on to the nth degree and make some justification of, like, I don't know, throw in pregnancy brain. But, like, just as a rule, there's no solution, there's no medical treatment, there's no good outcome by restricting someone's motions. Yeah. Unless they are, you know, attacking people in a very violent way. You could come up with all the examples, and I agree with those examples. But this, no. But it is a movie, so we'll roll into 420 reviews. Mine, real quick, was we think we're captain, but it's trauma steering, making space for others, walking the path together. That makes a village.
Why do you gotta go first? You should have went last.
Sorry.
Mine sucks.
I can edit it.
I mean, I'll go ahead and follow that. Just so that way we have a really, really good one, a really, really bad one, and a really, really good one, and we can sandwich the bad in the middle.
Yeah, you're not getting a good one from me, but I appreciate that.
So I have Lars lives quiet life, orders doll as girlfriend, diagnosed low blood pressure, brother is really confused, feelings happen somehow anyway.
That was actually pretty good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's mine. Haha, what the giddy. Concerning man in love. Now I can't breathe, and neither can she. Lay me to rest.
I don't know if I know what the first line means, but I want that to be a t-shirt. Quickly in the non-spoiler review, I don't know if it matters this detail, or if I think this counts as non-spoiler review because it's the tagline of the movie, the trailer of the movie. But someone who feels socially awkward ends up dating a male. How do you say it in a way that?
Oh, they said it in the movie. How'd they say it? Companion doll? Companion?
It's a companion doll that came in the mail, and he is always very straightforward with it. He doesn't see this as anything but a sincere relationship, and really weird timing because I know I looked up in YouTube, so maybe all those cookie things that all the big companies use across each other talk to each other, but randomly I found a really sincere and wonderful Instagram reel from Ryan Gosling talking about this movie and how Bianca was real, like had a real presence while filming it. Yeah, it's all about how the people around him react and support him so that he can find out why. But what did y'all think?
I can tell that you thoroughly enjoy film.
I'm totally fine with you not being.
No, and I am totally fine with you being other people being okay and understanding of my lack of full enjoyment in this film. I appreciate the undertone that were being conveyed in the film. And I think that whole feeling of community coming together to support someone who had obviously been going through something for their entire lives and all that stuff, kind of like showing that support. But that at the same exact time, there was only one film so far that I would want to watch less than this ever again. Exactly. And it's not that it's not a good film because it's not terrible. It was. Yeah, you
did remind me. I forgot to say that Lars and the Real Girl released on October 12th, 2007, written by Nancy Oliver, who has continued to work in the industry, and directed by Craig Gillespie, who continues to work in the industry. For instance, this year, directed Supergirl, which I didn't realize because this was some blockbuster movie that I watched way back in the day. And on a $12 million budget, it made $11,293,662. Brad?
I mean, I knew a tiny bit about this movie going in because we were discussing what movie we should do next, and you had brought this movie up, and you kind of gave us like the two-sentence kind of synopsis on this movie. So I kind of knew what to expect a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still kind of a little bit, I don't want to say jarring, but like the level of like commitment that Ryan Gosling puts into this character with Bianca the doll. At first, I was like, kind of like, it's funny, but at the same time, a little cringy. But then as the movie goes on, you realize it's actually like sad. But then you start to realize like, oh no, this isn't that bad. This is actually, there's a lot of really good things that are happening in this too. I wish it would have went a little deeper in the sad aspect of it. It really showed, really put more light on that while still making it happy, putting enough happy parts in it that it feels happy. I mean, it's still a movie about a companion doll being real, so I mean, there's that. I do appreciate that this takes place in Wisconsin, so that makes me feel a little bit better about my home state. So, good.
But they didn't drink any Piggly Wiggly.
No, they didn't. There's no Ed Gein references, which was appreciated. The other serial killer from Milwaukee.
Oh my God, I didn't know that was
there's like 3 of them. Yeah, Wisconsin has like 3 of them. So
all right, that's interesting that you say you wish you went into the sadder parts, because outside of some, I guess, monologue of him having a revelation to essentially to us, but to the people around him of like, this is exactly why I had to go through this, but you all supported me. Thank you. I don't know how we could have gotten more into it, like explicitly. Because
it would have had to be explicitly. Yeah, it would have had to be. There would have had to be breaks in the character.
Yeah, and at least,
and then the explaining of why the break happened, and then maybe, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but like more scenes with the family doctor and stuff like that, which could have helped out that bridging of the gap. So there's, I mean, I'm not gonna say this movie's bad by any means, but I would say that we could have focused more on the mental health aspect of things. How he got there and that pathway, while still making it overall, we call it a comedy drama, more of the comedy, and still need more drama.
I think you just said the solution, which is the doctor talking to anyone but Lars and explaining it, maybe in the third act, or like, this is why this needed, like, because I think for at least Lars, how they wrote his character and his situation, everything had to be lateral or come from an indirect angle for him to process this. That makes sense. Like the issue, we'll get into it in spoilers, or if you think it's not too much of a spoiler, I can just lay it out here. But the 3 little things that all came together just to kind of make him need to find some way to subconsciously face this all kind of happen at the same time. And I mean, he ran, this is real early on, but he chucked a flower and ran away from a girl that was like, "Hi, Lars. How are you?" Because it's not something he wanted to, or was not something he could face head on.
Yeah. So I do want to bring up like the point that you made about the therapist and the sadder parts, because as you said that, I realized there is a show, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but they have an episode where there's another individual, real life, who has a very similar story. And I was obsessed, like that particular episode. But I think I was obsessed with it because of how real it was, because they talked about the mental health side of it, because they dug into that. And I think because this movie focused so much on the comedy portion of it, it took it away to where I couldn't really like take it seriously enough for the type of topic that they were bringing up. So I think that's why for me it was just like all of a joke. It's like, this is cringy and like.
So my question would be: this movie was made in 2007. I think mental illnesses, mental health was not as important. Now, almost 20 years ago at this point, 19 years ago. Crazy to say. Do you think if this movie was redone today, that they would focus on, they'd be able to shine more of a light on that, where in 2007 maybe it wasn't as of a upfront topic as, say, like Ted Lasso. I mean, Ted Lasso took a lot of those challenges and struggles head on in each episode, or a lot of episodes.
I would be interested to see, like, if somebody told me, well, I guess it would be one of y'all, if one of y'all told me that they remade this film today, like, I would give it a chance, because I'd be interested in seeing how someone approached it, knowing the things that we know today and being as like apparent, as transparent as we are when it comes to mental health now.
And could it be because the town does support him that they're kind of keeping, there was this term I saw in a podcast or something where they're talking about discussing their mental health and like going up for air before going back down to those feelings. Is it Could it be possible because everyone was supporting him that he was always able to be up for air and not drowning as much? Because there are some moments where it's like he is being so gently guided and he has to come face to face with it, even if he is saying, this is Bianca or, this and that. And it's definitely stressful for him, but no one abandons him. No one says, we can't do this. And he has to face it. And the way he's written, I don't know if they wrote him to be able to do this alone. Not that there's anything wrong if someone needs support. Obviously, everyone's stronger together if they have a support system. But
they didn't really face any struggles or challenges. Really, everything was pretty straightforward. Like there were opportunities for the film for something to, I don't want to say bad to happen, but like, for example is like brother backing out because he didn't understand what was going on at first. For him to like, because he tried to like break it a little bit right away, but there was no like setback for Lars. I felt like this movie was always pushing us forward to the end. I mean, it's a tight 145 movie, but there could have been setbacks. We could have seen other sides of this too. We could have had more of a like explanation, like I said, from the doctor and stuff like that too. So I mean,
yeah, it felt like these struggles that you might see in other stories with character conflict are struggles that he was guided to face by his doctor, and then he had to not manufacture, but he had to bring himself to that struggle when he was ready. So we could see scenarios like arguing with your partner or anything else, of feeling valued in your own relationship and realizing, am I being selfish? Is this real? But it was at his pace when he was ready to face it. Kind of like the 4 different issues. You can't help anyone until they're ready to help themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. For me, the way that I would draw out this movie, I would at least have some kind of setback that wasn't guiding him, because it's just not real. For me, it's not realistic for somebody to have like a mental health episode like this and not have at least somebody in your orbit like not understand or not necessarily support you, especially in a situation like this where you're bringing a companion doll to a party and to church and stuff like that, and everybody just like accepts it, or there's like nobody that really didn't, or at least didn't to his face.
Well, speaking of church, one of the 3 things I did write down besides that intro and don't tackle anyone, third thing was, what would Jesus do? And I was like, there it is, baby. Like, because outside of this movie, every time someone uses religion as a way to hurt somebody else, I'm like, what the fuck? How'd you miss? That's step 1. How'd you miss? So when they're having that conversation, and there are people who are like not comfortable with it, but they bite their tongue unrealistically because probably the cubicle buddy would have said some shit and like kept poking the bear. Yeah. You said you had a question earlier, Brad, and I have a question. Is there any Bradley Cooper's trivia? Bradley Cooper is much sexier than the real doll.
The only thing that I really saw that was like of any note was there is a scene where Ryan Gosling performed CPR, and that scene was improv. That was not in the original script. So yeah, that was about the only thing really of any kind of note that I saw. I was kind of surprised considering this movie's almost 19 years old. So
I tripped over one thing when I was finding photos for the background, which is reminding me, unlike last time, oh, look, I just changed the layout of the transition. I always remember. Apparently, there were 9 different faces for the doll. So
I guess I did see that, but you kind of see them throughout the movie. I mean, because they kind of do certain things, and they kind of, I don't want to say make it a focal point, but they definitely put her front and center. She is a main character of this movie, but I didn't realize it was 9, but I definitely noticed there's quite a few.
Very cool. What are your dope ratings? And nobody needs this. You all hate that I do this every time. You say get boo, whatever that SpongeBob meme is a similar nature. But from S tier to F tier, it goes ayahuasca, mushroom, edible, joint, skunky. And then if you want to just see some Michael Bay film and you didn't like it, but you had so much fun, but it's not good, then that's a little Molly. It's a fun, but oh boy. Oh wait, there's also poison below skunk. That's the F tier. I forget to mention that sometimes. Mine's a mushroom to toy. What about for y'all?
I'll go with joint. Yeah, I mean, I'll put it in like the C tier. I think it could have been better. different aspects that could have been better. Overall, I do think it was a fine movie. I mean, it's not something that I'm going to rush out and show everybody, but at the same time, like it's not something like I would actively not show somebody, I guess. So average.
Mellow.
I'm also going to go with Joint. I would definitely not subject myself to it voluntarily unless, the options are it or Begonia. But I see where they were going with it. And then, like I said, if they were to remake it, I would be willing to give it, another chance. So.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Right before we get to spot, I need to look it up. No, I can't find it, but I saw some horrible fake poster on YouTube, and apparently there's another one this year as well that somebody put on Facebook. But this one said Lars and the Real Girl 2, like Bianca comes to life or some shit. I'm just like, you like it enough for a sequel? You missed what the hell are we doing? Anyway, we're gonna get into spoilers. We're gonna crack open this big box that came in the mail in 3, 2, 1. Get out of here, you guys and dolls who haven't seen it. But yeah, what are I forgot how I was going to transition into this. What do you want to talk about first?
We covered quite a bit of it through the non-spoiler. So to get more like direct, the doctors are family doctors, so the doctor obviously knows everything that's kind of happened in their past. Mm-hmm. So she understands the traumas that Lars went through. I just wish we could have conveyed that more throughout the movie, of like maybe explaining to when his brother and sister-in-law come in, like explaining that, having that emotional connection between her brother, because her brother has some small little things of like, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have ran away from him at that time. Like I was young and dumb, blah, blah, and starts crying under his wife's shoulder. And then we just like cut away. So boom. So I wish we could have had more of those, like those scenes with with his brother, and then obviously other characters too, mm-hmm. about like what they felt like they could have done. Because I feel like sometimes the survivor's guilt, and I'm going to use that in air quotes because it's not the same in this case, but that guilt that you would feel for what you might have done in somebody's past to put them in the situation that they're in, and like the things you could have done, things you probably should have done, blah blah, but you were too busy, he was trying to run away from everything where Lars was fully in it. So I wish they could have had more scenes like that.
Yeah, but that's fair, because what I was alluding to in like these things converging together is obviously we find out his mother passed away in child's birth. He's just learning that irreparably changed his father, but that's down the line. So his sister-in-law getting pregnant, and if we're going in like pretending like these are college courses, the major and the minor are his sister-in-law just got pregnant, and this girl came around who seems to like him, and he seems to have never been in a relationship and has to face or process the emotions he's had for 26 years over his mother's death, and then he finds this, outside of what he uses it for, a very stupid thing to hear at work, ridiculous, and he uses it to process his inexperience in the dating world, his fears over his sister-in-law passing away, like he feels guilty for doing to his mother. And part of even though there's not a lot of direct resistance to him the whole time, as the movie went on, I just became more and more appreciative of all these situations that you can imagine. If he doesn't want to come around for breakfast, he's never been in. He goes to a party because of Bianca. He goes, just all these situations where he's being more social, even if you can see it's getting a little bit on him or under his skin, just a bit being there. He's facing those fears. The physical touch, it's okay with Bianca, so he wants to find someone that it can be okay with. Doesn't need to be everybody, but yeah, it wasn't for me so much about again, it still would have made it better. I agree. It was seeing him fighting all his defense mechanisms, not fighting them, but figuring out how to dismantle them in a healthy way and put himself out there in a way that still felt relatively safe.
Yeah. I mean, I can see where you're coming from on this.
Because this made me realize that most of us try to live our lives based on the trauma that we experienced early and we felt was unfair. And either we find healthy ways to do that or unhealthy ways of like, all right, I'm going to figure out a way to avoid this or avoid doing this to others, or I've been hurt so bad, others need to feel my. Not saying Lars goes with that second option ever.
Yeah. The town coming around to help him was a nice touch. It made the movie feel less genuine, but at the same time, like more wholesome as an overall experience. Because they made mention of it a couple times too. Like when he goes to the party for the first time, he brings Bianca, and like one of the guests, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember if she was even important to the movie, but she was like, "Yeah, I'm glad you sent out that memo. Otherwise, I would have been really freaked out," kind of
Oh,
thing.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, it was during the party scene. I think it was before they like turn up the dance music, stuff like that.
I just assumed the birthday girl was like, okay, everybody, love you for being here. There's somebody who's just going through something. Fucking be cool. Like, you don't need to ruin my birthday party if you don't need to make a thing of it. Okay? And the husband, he danced with Bianca. It was so sweet.
I mean, everybody really started growing on her too. Obviously, they're helping him in some ways while they're doing this, but like putting her to bed or taking her to church, and like even things like buckling in when he was going to go show her the lake in the woods and stuff, which kind of seemed like it was one of his safe spaces. So I mean, in that aspect, it was kind of cool that the community came around and rallied, because obviously it's a small enough community that they all know what happened to him. They probably know the traumas that he went through, and they're just kind of, I don't want to say accept that happened, but like are understanding to the situation.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it was this time watching it. I think I've only watched this movie twice in my life, but this time I realized why I probably love this so much is because in my household growing up, parenting was, look, everyone has an image of the child, the adult they want to build their child into, and that's not necessarily a bad starting. But when I would deviate, even in ways that weren't bad, my parents would be like, "That it's outside the cookie cutter. Get it back in," and like use criticism and negativity and all kinds of, basically feeling like it wasn't supported unless I was just the outline of a person they wanted me to be. So seeing a whole, not just a family, but a whole town willing to do that for someone who really needed it. Oh God, that's good to see for me.
And with the doll, he got to experience other emotions too, because he obviously experienced like real jealousy for the first time with his at the end of the movie. This what I'm going to assume is his girlfriend, or what we're kind of like led to believe.
Yes,
watching her get a boyfriend, watching her succeed at something that he's not very good at, and he kind of got mad when they were bowling. So I think that like a lot of that forced him like internally to change.
Yeah, I didn't see the bowling as that negative. I thought he was enjoying.
Because he first threw his first ball like into the next lane over.
Yeah.
Then she was really good. Then the guys came down and they were all like having a lot of fun, and like she was competing with one other one, and they had made mention of it that they were basically competing. So he like sat there with his arms crossed. And he wasn't really clapping for a lot. But then like when everybody else would get excited, then he would get excited. But you could tell like he was, I don't know if it was like being upset or like the jealousy of like watching what somebody that he obviously has feelings for, but just doesn't understand how to process it yet. You know, get excited with another person that's not him. So
and to your earlier point, I really did like, whether he knew this was part of it or not, when he saw her seeming to settle into that relationship more, the office relationship, and then he brought those feelings home. Because I don't think there would ever be a world where I would say he was demanding of her, where it would explicitly say, "Why didn't she wait for me?" I think in his brain or in his mind, he was like, "Here is something I would like to approach, but I'm not ready for that. So Bianca, I'm gonna go through this so I can be prepared." And then, not that he was expecting her to wait for him, he was surprised to see it. So then he brought those feelings and created a scenario to try to process them with Bianca, because that felt like a safer place, almost like in actual therapy sessions where you're intentionally role playing an argument, and then just people doing a great job calling him on his shit twice. The one later with the sister-in-law, and then that night with the woman bringing Bianca. It's like, no self-respecting woman or woman you'd want to be with would be sitting at your beck and call. Like, no one of value would be just there to exist for you. But
yeah, I mean, there's some small things that would change with this movie overall. I think it was fine. I mean, I think we kind of went through it in the non-spoiler section, and I don't think I really need to go too deep into like why I would change those things. But I think it would have been more heartfelt and more of an emotional roller coaster for us as the viewer to add those changes and like have something traumatic happen. You know, like her sister losing the baby or something like that. Have him have a setback to overcome, because it just felt very happy-go-lucky most of the way through. Like there was no real. I mean, the biggest setback for him was probably just the jealousy of watching somebody that he obviously likes, just doesn't know how to express it, go with somebody else, basically kind of make him jealous, because basically that's kind of what I felt like she was doing.
how did you all feel about the funeral and everything? The 911 call, the illness processing, or continuing to get worse?
I appreciate what they're trying to convey with it. Again, I think if they were to do it today, they would probably rethink some of the decisions and how they did some of it, and it might hit a little bit differently than the way a particular film did. But I appreciate what they were going.
It kind of reminded me of Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother, because there was this one episode where Lily is just talking about how she'll see a pretty lady and be like, ooh, and like have a little fantasy for herself. And then Marshall's like, I could never. It's like, what? You never, like, you're not going to cheat. I think it's fine. And she's like, okay, can you? And it's like, okay, so, all right. So you come down with a really bad illness, and we do new illness, and we do everything to try to save you. And then after about 20 years after, then I meed somebody, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You had to kill me to fantasize about someone else? I'm like, but I love you so much. And like, it can be a little juvenile, but it also struck me as really sweet. When watching this film, I was like, fuck, what are they gonna do when he's done processing? Are they just going to be like, oh, Bianca dumped me? And then, like, what did everybody else do? Did they put Bianca's body in the attic? Do you throw it out? Do you, like, what do you do? How does someone who has
to the guy at work?
No, like, how do you go about this in a way that's not disrespectful to what Bianca represents as like someone who's supposed to have autonomy, even though everybody, this is a facsimile, without just undermining the intended sweetness of how that he has to do it this way. So, like, the ambulance is probably a $2,000 cost that didn't need to be done, but it's a movie, so and everyone's preparing to play their part just to, really go hope court to the max. But they probably could have just driven in the car and brought them in if you want to still go through with it. But the fact that I couldn't see another way this could go that didn't undermine Lars. And if he was just like, oh yeah, she broke up with me, can you like drive her to the train station? Then I'd be like, I mean, if that's how it went, then that's how it went. But like,
I feel like that would have been slightly healthier than her dying the way that she did.
He also needed her to die, though, so that way he could process the trauma from his mother passing away and his father passing away. So he needed that, like,
he can face death.
I can agree with that. I could agree with that, but I don't know. I think that's just the way they did it, because like all of this obviously happened within a fairly short period of time, which is not realistic. So
like 6 months, right?
I guess
a winner, maybe a winner. Yeah, she was already a winner at the beginning of the movie because she needed the blanket. And then when we got to the end, it was just starting to become spring. So
4 months.
Yeah,
so it seemed like it was after Christmas.
So it wasn't that long. So like the fact that all of this happened within a very short period of time, which isn't very realistic for the actual processing of what they're saying was processed, and then for it to jump to something so dramatic at the end, as far as like the killing Bianca or whatever, it's just like, okay, that's another traumatic thing on top of the other traumatic things that he just went through. So to me, it doesn't make sense. And especially if you think about the fact that this was compared to, oh goodness gracious, I can't remember the name. I think it's a Greek tragedy. Like what they said the inspiration of this film came from. but it's the story of a gentleman who fell in love with the statue, and Aphrodite took pity on him, and in the end, eventually make the statue real, and he marries her, and they live happily ever after. But in this case, they're like, okay, we're gonna kill Bianca, we're gonna get us a real girlfriend, and there's no processing there. It's just it falls flat.
I haven't found. Oh wait. Oh, I did. So I'm seeing that the screenwriter Nancy Oliver's desire to this was primarily inspired by her desire to explore mental illness through a lens of compassion, kindness, and community support. It was further influenced by the 2006 documentary Guys and Dolls and the photographic book Still Lovers by Elna Dorfman, which depicted people with intimate companions. And then the thematic parallels to Ovid's Pygmalion from Metamorphoses, where a creator falls in love with his own creation, which now is making me think of Ruby Sparks.
Oh, okay. I was like, Guys and Dolls sounds familiar. It's a old Broadway musical.
And
so
apparently
a lot
there's
of
a documentary about, I assume, this topic.
I think realistically they could remake this movie today, and then, well, they kind of already have in a lot of ways, like Ex Machina. I'm thinking of because now we, instead of a physical doll let you order off the internet, more of it's like AI chatbots and like AI.
Her with Scarlett Johansson. Ruby Sparks is about a writer who tries writing a second book, and then his character comes to life in his house. But it's also wonderful because the woman Ruby Sparks wrote the film, and then she was showing pages to her partner Paul Dano, and he looks down, he's like, "Are you writing this for me?" And she was like, "Oh shit, you are lanky as hell." And then the directors of Little Miss Sunshine, another very hopeful film, and the directors of Living with Yourself on Netflix did it, and it's just another great one. Because it is tough, especially since he, and I don't want him to under the circumstances, but he can't look at it from an outsider's point of view. So how do you close that story and face everything that you're trying to face with this? So
it could have had a mutual understanding that it was time to part ways, and then she could have gone on a cruise or decided to go back home, just like she arrived.
Yeah,
that would have shown growth.
That cruise, the Titanic. Damn it! The women made it out. The women and children made it out. But yeah, and also metatextually, it's tough with a film. Like, how do you make it seem like it's a satisfying way to close the story? The brother, I feel for it. Like, I get why he was kind of going mad, but then I also enjoyed his transformation. Like, he literally goes in to put a half-filled glass of water in Bianca's room when he expects only Bianca to be in there near the end. But early on, he's just like, what am I going to do? I fucked this up. What am I going to do? We let him be in the garage like a dog. Why did I do that? Like, hey, she's not real. Okay, I had to shoot my shot. Even if you're watching it don't, she already don't. Okay, yeah, I know you felt like you needed to do that. But
which I think would have happened in a lot of situations, that somebody would have tried to and probably even more aggressively tried to I don't want to say snap him out of it, but try and bring that to the forefront of attention. So I mean, I think that they could have went more realistic with that he would have tried harder. He wouldn't have just been made one sly comment that he wasn't even paying attention for because he's too busy talking to Bianca, so he didn't even really shoot a shot per se.
That's interesting though. I don't think he ignored it. I think he just chose to edit it out. Or no, I misspoke. I don't think he missed it. I think he intentionally ignored it. That's not a statement that just happened, because that's not fitting in with this reality that I'm constructed for this. Also, what an elegant solution to, we just put food in front of Bianca. She's not going to eat. He just goes over, grabs a carrot. Yeah. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about before we do our better than rankings?
The last thing that I have to mention is during that scene that you were just talking about, the dinner, I was very disappointed during that moment right after that part when he started. I was really expecting him to be like, oh yeah, I just found out that Bianca's a vegetarian, and he didn't, and I was so mad. I was just like, oh, fine. But that's all. That's it. Missed opportunity.
Oh, well, just gotta ask for the regular running question before we zoom out and do the big picture. Who thinks that Lars and the Real Girl, I can't even believe that I forgot to mention, until today, every time I thought about this movie's title, I kept thinking, My Name is Earl first, just because it rhymes, I think. It's kind of, but finally it clicked back. Who thinks Lars and the Real Girl is a better movie than Hedda? I don't know if I have.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that Hedda was better. I think it's something that I'm more interested in. The movie brought me to want to watch the play, and then makes me want to rewatch the movie now that I understand like what's going on, because in the beginning I was a little confused. So already I have the feeling that I want to rewatch it versus this movie where I'm just like, one time I'm good. Probably not going to go tell everybody about it. Where Hedda, I'd probably be more adept to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hedda is easily a better film for all the same reasons.
I know I'm totally fine where this is landing. I think I'm split. I think they're both equally good for the reasons I love them, and I would definitely personally watch Lars and the Real Girl more often, because Hedda is, while fascinating, it's really just, I'm a psychopath and people like me exist to pull strings, and this one's just like, oh, it's not the most realistic, but damn is it sweet, and he's so strong and everyone's so kind. But the new thing that we're going to just go through really quickly, that I was like, how did I not think of this from the beginning? We should have an all-timer.
The highest movie.
The dopest of the lot.
So close.
And we're basically going to do this like, is this better, like we've been doing? But then the one that's better stays there until it gets dethroned. The only other rule is all three of us have to have seen it. Otherwise, Project Hail Mary is going to be there for 50 years. We'll update it if Milan watches Project Hail Mary, or if there are any other situations, and we just wait till everyone gets together. But we started this with Predator Killer of Killers, and I don't remember what all our votes for. It doesn't matter now. But was Deep Cover, which is the second one, better than Predator Killer of Killers?
Oh man, I can't do.
Predator Killers was the animated one that had 3 separate stories.
Oh no, I know exactly what it is, but I can't do this on the spot. That's too many films that I will not be able to tell you what half of them were about until I like sit down and think about it.
Can we do a
Do you want me to send you a list? Do you want me to send you a list and we'll do this next week?
That's probably going to be safer for you if you want it to be accurate.
I'm okay. If we did it now, I would feel confident that the ones that really landed for you will rise to the top.
And you would be absolutely wrong, because I would just be agreeing with whatever y'all said.
Then we can wait till next week if you'd feel better about that. Sound good?
I think that's the smartest. If you want my genuine.
Cool. What were you going to say?
I don't even remember. I literally was looking up what Deep Cover was.
Yeah,
I think that's
I'd have to go look.
Y'all really liked it, but I personally felt like it was so thin that it's no. It was Orlando Bloom, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Nathan from.
Now let's see the cover. Yeah, the Amazon movie.
They're the improv and Nick Muhammad. They're the improv troupe that become undercover spies.
Yeah, so we'll get the list so that way we can jot some notes, because I had to Google it. No idea.
All right, I'll send that list through text instead of Discord. All right, so this movie may have been a mushroom, it may have been a joint, or it may have been a joint, but no matter what, Lars and the Real Girl was dope because movies. Are dope. As I've edited these, they were kind of in sync with the leg, and now it's just steps. Like each waveform is completely separate. Just looks like 3 steps, 3 steps, 3 steps. Oh man, record stopped.
She's not a blow-up doll. How many people here think she's a blow-up doll? Be honest. You're not being honest. She's not a blow-up doll. She's the real. Should we get into that, because it's in everything I read. It's like blow-up doll. And she's very heavy. And it was a lot of work, and I want credit.
It comes in 2 boxes, so clearly it's not a blow-up doll.
What's that?
It comes in a very big box, so it's obviously not a blow-up doll.
There you go. See? You know, it was interesting for me. I had a really special experience on this film. I think it's really I'm just really proud of it and more anxious to see what people think of it than any movie I've done, because it's so special and there's nothing really that I could compare it to. But my experience was unique as well. And in working with Bianca, I went through a lot of. I thought I was going to have to play two characters, and that have to play her part as well, and having these dialogues in my head with her and all of these things. But and it's going to sound funny to say it, but that she had a really calming presence. And I felt.
What do you mean? Calming presence?
She just she had a real presence.
Okay.
And you could tell when she was on set. You could feel. You could feel that she was there. There was kind of a reverence for what Nancy had written, and everybody was trying to honor that. And I had a pretty interesting relationship with her, because in those scenes, I felt completely alone and I isolated with her, because this movie depends on our relationship.
I'm living in a movie, there's a scene you gotta jump. I got my people at the viewing who all knew me selling tickets. Yeah, they're talking about the beauty. I see Scorsese outside saying this isn't cinema. Free man, I ain't doing shit tomorrow, I don't need plans. I'll be kicking it till April off for $3 grand. I don't even need the money, I just need fans. I just need fans.